and I got mailed that I got major penalty for event 2.
Uh,
And I went to leaderboard to check how big of a penalty is, and I can't find my name on the leaderboard. And I'm just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I find
Man.
myself in one, and I find myself.
Bam, in progress. Luka, are you in Serbia right now?
Yes, I'm in Serbia at the moment. I'm planning to actually. We are just planning my trip to United States, where I will do one part of semifinals prep with my coach in Portland, in Maine. So that's now in plannings, but at the moment I'm in Serbia.
Yeah, the Misfit guys. I'm gonna ask you about this, but later.
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome that you will meet them in person.
Yeah.
It's the first time you meet them in person, or did you?
No, we met at the games, but it was like games was crazy. Competition is going, so like there's no time to chat or to do anything. So it was just like fast meet at the games.
Yeah. When I had your brother on, and when I did the research on you guys, I realized that CrossFit wasn't your first sport. You played soccer, didn't you?
Exactly. I played soccer for 10 years or 11 years.
10 years. And it was your goal to make it into the leagues?
Yeah, since I was a kid. When I started, I think I started when I was 7 years old, and then I played until I was, I think, 17 or 18. So basically that was during my whole childhood, that was the goal. I was always passionate about training. I always wanted to train a little bit more than the other guys, and I was not that good when I started. I think like in my age, I was one of the worst players in how can I say, in my club. And then during those years, and that's, I think, more training that I was doing and how passionate I was getting really better and better and better, and I was starting to improve into Serbian leagues. I started playing in third league in Serbia when I was 16 years old, which was at that time pretty good. Like you have potential to go to bigger leagues and then maybe try to do some international career or something like that. And then just as I was starting to advance into bigger leagues, I broke my leg. And yes, and then it took a long time to heal because it wasn't usual break. So it took a little bit more time to heal. And then when I started coming back, Lazar introduced me to CrossFit, and that's how I started doing CrossFit on the side. And then
so you actually did it. So you actually did it to support your soccer training, to get
exactly
back in shape.
Yes, I was. When I broke my leg, it was, I think, 3 months of nothing. I was just laying in bed, and after 3 months, I gained, I think, 5 kilos. I mean, you are just laying. You can't do anything that you are supposed to do. I was barely going to the school. Some days I just stayed at home for the whole days. So when I finally was able to come back to and do training, I started doing CrossFit on the side just to get faster in the shape, and that's how it started.
What was your position in soccer?
I was playing forward, like striker.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yes.
I didn't thought that. I was thinking like, maybe like on the right or left side, a winger, or in the midfield, striker. Oh, really, man?
Yeah, I was playing striker for the whole career, I think.
Cool. How did you break your leg? How did that happen?
Yeah, so it was one of the games, and like I got ball from the midfield, and I was like racing with another guy from the team, and there was another guy coming from the other side. So I did the slide so that I can reach the ball before them, and one of them was trying to kick the ball, and as I reached the ball, he, instead of kicking the ball, he kicked my ankle, and then it broke.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was It was it's called, I think, fibula bone, and it goes into your ankle. So it broke like between the fibula bone and ankle. So it was really unusual break. So it took a little bit more time to heal than if it was just like, I can say, regular break.
Yep, yep. Oh wow, man! I'm following the soccer in Europe quite a bit. Is there Belgrade is the team in Serbia, isn't it?
It's Red Star.
Red Star,
like
yeah.
Red Star and Partizan. Those are
yes,
two.
yes. I think there's a German player in one of the teams. He was pretty popular in Germany, but he was always this kind of talent and never made it really. And then he went to Belgrade, and I think he's destroying the league, I think.
I'm not sure. I
can't remember his name.
Soccer now for a long time. I didn't follow soccer for a long time.
Yeah. What was your favorite team which you would love to end up?
Arsenal.
Really cool. Do you know?
When I was like starting, Thierry Henry was playing for them, and then like they were really good at that time. So that's how it started. Yeah,
the golden run. I think they made one season without a loss or something.
Yes, exactly.
In their heyday. Insane. Do we know? I follow Borussia Dortmund in Germany. Do you know Neven Subotic from Serbia?
Yes.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite guys when they had their championship runs in 2011 and 12. He was always so real. There's one scene where he celebrates the championship. He's standing on top of a car and like with his shirt off, like making like this, and he was a good guy, man. Yeah, and then you found CrossFit through your brother, and how did you fall in love with it right away, or was it like a process?
At first I was just doing CrossFit and the soccer both like together. So soccer was my main focus, and I was just doing CrossFit on the side, and I think it was going like that for half a year or full year. And after that breaking leg, it was really hard to go into same form that I had before in soccer. So it wasn't going really well, especially trying to get back where I was 6 months ago. And the whole team changed, the coach changed. So nobody really wanted to wait for you to recover fully. Everybody expected you to play it like immediately, which wasn't possible at that time. And then I rushed to get into it. So it was like, I wasn't really moving well as I should. I lost some speed and stuff like that. And on the side, CrossFit was going really well. I felt like, oh man, this is something that I can be really good at, even though my goal at the moment was soccer. So Lazar started doing some local competitions here in Serbia. And as I was training CrossFit on the side, I was going to watch one of the CrossFit competition where he was going to compete, and he was like, hey man, there is a teen division. At the time I think I was 17 or 18, and he was like, there is a teen division for younger athletes than 18 years old. If you're going to watch, why don't you just compete? It was just 1 day competition, 3 workouts, and I signed up. And I think that from like 10 or 11 guys in our category, I ended up third. So it was my first podium. So yeah, after that, it was like, man, this is really cool. I think that I can really be good at this. And then how soccer started going down, CrossFit started going up. And I fell in love with CrossFit. And I think I just switched. And then when I started going to university in Novi Sad, CrossFit box was really close to my university where I was going, and that's how it started. Lazar started working at that CrossFit box as a coach. I was going to university that was next to it, and then I started going to CrossFit more regularly. I started watching Lazar, how he coaches, how he trains, and then I started doing it like once a day, 2 times a day, and that's how it took off. And then in my second year of university, I started working there as a coach as well, and that's how it started being a little bit more serious and more serious.
Interesting, man. Does it suck that? Oh, no, not suck, but how is it to have your brother in the same sport? Is it the first sport where you like compete against each other?
Yes. So Lazar was playing water polo for 10 years also, I think, and I was playing soccer, so it was completely different. It wasn't even close. There was always like younger and older brother stuff when you were young, like when you were kids, but in that time when we were growing up, we weren't that, how to say, competitive, because we weren't playing even the similar sports. He was in water and I was running all the time, so it wasn't even close. And also in the beginning, it wasn't like that hard. How can I say? Because I was looking up to him. He was much better. He was competing at much higher level. So it was really cool to have him to look at him and for him to be how can I say, my motivation at the moment. Yeah. And then now when we both came to the level where we are both competing at the games, and when we are now in, if I can say, in top of European CrossFit, I still think it's cool. I think it's harder than for some other people because one of your main competitors is your brother. But in the end, yes, for sure, it's hard. Maybe it's definitely, if when I'm competing at the competition, I feel like it's harder for me if we are competing at the same one. But I still think that in the end, it's pretty cool. It's like sometimes you have to put your ego on the side, and that like competitiveness that you have within you to always be first. Sometimes it's just cool to share some moments with your brother, you know. Yeah. In the end, the family is one of the most important things. So I think even though it's hard, it's pretty cool as well.
So I guess like having the ninth fittest man from last year as a brother just adds fuel to your own fire.
Yes, exactly.
Or is it also a little bit of pressure?
It's not pressure, like because we are doing individual sport, and CrossFit is sport that you can do what you can do. Like your performance depends on what you did before. So basically in CrossFit, like how well you train and what you do in your preparation is what you will be able to do at competition. So watching what other people do is not going to help you that much. Like watching what they do at competition, where you can maybe when you can strategize or something like that. But like I don't think it's good to motivate yourself by other person's results. So I think it's cool when we are pushing each other in training, but it doesn't make any more pressure than I already put on myself.
Yeah, I see. I think CrossFit is also different. Like in other sports, in soccer, for example, there's always this when you have brothers in soccer, there's always this thing. So will the younger one will be better than the older one someday? But I think in CrossFit that isn't really a thing. So or I just didn't realize it. Like we have the Smith brothers and the Anderson brothers and stuff like that, but there was always, I never asked myself, so will Alex Smith probably one day will be way better than Ben Smith?
Yeah, like I don't know. There is also and Panchik brothers now. There's like three of them. I don't know. Man. It's like individual sport is a little bit different, so it's hard to compare, you know.
Yeah, and when I talked to Lazar, he was one of the main themes was his decline of his first games invite because he felt he wasn't ready. When you made it last year, had you kind of like the same thoughts, or were you like, so I'm going?
No, it wasn't the same, because when Lazar made it first time, it was the year when national champions were going.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that big of a deal, because there's like everybody were going to the games that year. And I think that he thought the same, like it's not that privileged to be going to the games this year.
Yeah.
Because 2019, you had national champions from all over the world. There was some national champions that weren't even better than regular people in your gym, you know. It's like there were some national champions that couldn't even climb a rope. So that year, it wasn't the year that it was like a privilege to go to the games. It wasn't like crazy success to go to the games, because in some countries it wasn't hard to be national champion, you know. Like some countries you can do the open workouts that year, like in training, and you would be national champions, and then you're going to the games. So I think he felt the same way, and that's why he declined. And I'm glad that that system changed, because there was like 200 people at the games. It wasn't that special like it was this year. This year, when I thought that it was super cool when it was regionals back in the days, when it was only 40 people going. And when they switched the systems, I was like, man, it's not that big of a privilege to go to the games now. And then when they switch the systems again, so that now there's the open, quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the games, and then again only 40 people is going, it's much bigger of a deal, you know. When you qualify for the games, when it's only 10 people going from Europe, that's pretty cool. And not pretty cool, that's pretty hard. Like some people train for that whole life and never made it to be in top 40 in the world. And especially Europe is such a strong region, and now when only 10 people is going, it's one of the hardest regions to qualify from the games, actually. So when I made it, I was like, you know,
definitely earned it.
Yes, it was celebrating that I made it, because not many people, and especially it was my first like rookie year at regionals or semifinals. I made it. I was like young. I think I was youngest in Europe, athlete in Europe that was going to the games. It was my like first year that I was actually chasing the games. In the years before, I knew that I wasn't ready for the games, and that was the first year that I was actually chasing the goal to go to the games. So when I made it, I was like, I'm going for sure, because now it's only 40 people going. Like there's no reason to decline it now.
Yeah. How many people are going?
But if I was in the same position as him in 2019, I think that I would decline as well.
Yeah. Interesting. How many people are going this year from Europe?
10 as well.
10 people? That's insane, yes. Man. I think they need to change that.
I think that next year we will get at least one more spot, because this year open registration in Europe went really high, and also like European athletes did really good. Like all of us did really good at the games last year.
Exactly.
So I think that they announced that we are getting one more spot for next year.
Yeah, exactly. Not only the registrations. Like if you look at the top 10, top 20, top 15 at the games, Europe is insane amount of athletes like in the top. And I think they need to change that system somehow, like making that into the decision, like evaluating after each year, looking how many people end up in the top 10, top 15, and then making like that for the game spots, I think.
Yeah, and also this year at the quarterfinals, Europe was one of the strongest region.
Yeah.
Like CrossFit Games in the end, they made like worldwide leaderboard, and like 300 athletes is advancing to the quarterfinals, but in Europe it's going only 60. So in the end, the guy that was in the 90th place in Europe, he would make the semifinals if it was only top 300 in the world. So the most of the athletes that was in 300 in the world and that didn't make semifinals were from Europe.
There's so many good people in Europe right now. I don't even know. And that's also like my brother, he follows the German athletes really well. And I'm always, but he doesn't know the system really, really well. And he is a big supporter of Moritz Feibig. And he's like, Feibig's gonna make the games this year. And I'm like, I'm not so sure. But he's fifth in the quarterfinals. And I still don't know. You have to wait for the competition in person. Like, it's gonna be tough for him.
Moritz is really, really good. Yeah, we competed at the German Showdown.
Yeah, I saw that. That was, how was that in Mainz is my hometown. I come from there.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really well-run competition. Like, it was perfect. Everything was on time. It was my first individual competition after the games. So I was just like back into some like more serious training. It was good test. Competition was really good. Like athletes were really good. I think that CrossFit in Germany is every year is like getting to the next level, and I'm really familiar with it because now for how many years I have sponsors from Germany. I had coach. We were working together for 3 years. Jorn Perlovitz from the Forge Concept. So I think that the country in Europe that I was most visiting in my life is Germany, because I was going to Germany all the time for training camps, for competitions. I was competing before in Bielefeld at halfway there throwdown 2 times, and yeah, I'm really familiar with German CrossFit, and it was actually my first German throwdown, so I was really happy with how it went.
Cool, man. I'm hoping that it's gonna be a semi-final and I'm gonna visit it again this year.
Yes,
that would be really cool. But tell me more about your first games experience. How was it like? I saw your podcast with the Misfits, and I was blown away by the how did you guys even end up there? Like, it wasn't so easy, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, it wasn't easy to get there. And then when I get there, I think maybe I put maybe too big of expectations for myself than I should. And then in the end, I was a little bit disappointed. But I think it just added fuel to the fire in the end, because the workouts that were the games, like I have specific weaknesses compared to the field. Like my squat clean was at the moment, because I was recovering whole year from knee injury. So my squat clean was really low, and then it was like 2-scored event was squat clean, and then I placed last from the whole field, and I lost a lot of points there. And then like there was too many, like if I can say, like rookie mistakes that I made. But I think that I peaked my form too much for the semifinals to make the games. And then when I made the games, I was a little bit like burned out, especially because I was working full time. I was coaching full time during my semifinal and games preparation. So it takes a lot of time for you to work, to coach 5 hours a day, and then to try to train 2 to 3 times. So when I get into the games prep, I was a little bit burned out. And then when I get to the games, level was really high, and really everybody were really good. And I still think it's really good accomplishment just to make the games at 22 years old at the moment. And I still think I had some good performances. I had some really bad performances, but I wasn't happy with how it went after the games. But then now how time passes, I think I'm like more and more satisfied with that performance. But I think that it's definitely not what I want to achieve at the games. But I think that next time when I'm there this year, I think it will be much different.
What's your goal for this year? If
you're
gonna paint a picture.
Yeah. So basically, when the moment with games were done for me, when we were like on the floor, when they were announcing winners and giving those belts and event wins and stuff like that, I immediately put the picture in my head that I want to be back there next year and improve on my score. And I never said for this year, I never said like, okay, I want to be in top 15, I want to be in top 10, I want to be in top 5. That's not like the goal that I set for this year. I set goal for this year to go back to the games and to do the real preparations for the games, not the ones that I had last year. Like real preparations for the games, to go all in on that preparation, and then to go there and to show what I'm capable of. Because there were some events when I think that I'm one of the best in the world at, but I still wasn't able to show that with how I was preparing and with everything that was going on the whole year, battling with injuries all over the place and stuff like that. I still think that it was really big to make it last year. But this year goal was to go back and then to have a really good run. And I think when I'm healthy And when I have a good run on the events, and when nothing is holding me back, like knee or wrist or my back or something like that, I think that no one can say that will beat me easily.
Are you healthy this year so far?
Yes, after a long period of time, this year started with some back issues again, but we were able to heal that quickly. It was just some muscle problems, because my biggest problem is some group of my muscles are much stronger than the other ones. So then it's like big dysfunction in body, you know, and then it's easy to get hurt at some specific muscles and spots. But the knocking in the wood, like knee is good, back is good, hips are fine, wrists are fine. Those were my biggest problems in last year. So I'm finally going healthy into semifinals preparation, and then hopefully into games preparation if everything goes smoothly.
Do you think that's because of soccer training that you have some disbalances?
Yeah, I think that CrossFit, the soccer training is not that good for to be your first sport before starting CrossFit. Because it's such a specific, you are not doing much weight training as some other sports. Your mobility is not that, you don't need that much of a mobility in CrossFit, and then in soccer. And then when you start doing CrossFit, when you realize how much you need to be mobile and you have to have a good positions and everything in weightlifting, then it's hard. And my mobility is still so big work in progress, where I think that I have a huge potential to go bigger on my lifts, bigger on my movements, everything like that. Because it's not same if you were doing weightlifting when you were a kid and you were stretching every day and doing mobility and front squats and everything, and then you come from soccer and you can do overhead squat with PVC pipe for first 2 years, or you can grab a front rack with the barbell for first 2 years. I think I started CrossFit with huge disadvantage compared to the field, but I think that every year I'm catching up more and more.
Yeah, that's always interesting when you see what different backgrounds people have. So like Fraser was a weightlifter. I don't know. Before I doubled into CrossFit, I was a yogi. So mobility is really good, but I lack a lot of strength. So it's always interesting how that ends up.
Yeah.
But I feel like I still don't know what's the best background to have, because there's so many elements, and you can't say that.
I think that the hardest thing to build on is strength and those good positions. So I think it's really good and helpful if you did some weightlifting before, because, for example, when Fraser started, he already had 15 years of weightlifting under his belt. And when he started CrossFit, his biggest problem was conditioning and gymnastics and stuff like that. But when somebody who never grabbed a barbell in his life started doing CrossFit, for first 2 years, you're just learning how to do the movements.
Yeah.
And then it's still work in progress. Even when you go to the games level, it's still technique work in progress. It's still positions. It's still mobility. You still have to work so hard on that stuff. And when somebody came from weightlifting, I think he has a big advantage in that area of game.
Yeah, I see that. So this year, you just end up doing quarters. Now it's semis. Tell me, but you had a lot of struggle in the quarterfinals, didn't you?
Yeah, it looks like every year I struggle in quarterfinals. I don't know why, but last year it was big of a deal, because when quarterfinals and open, when open started, I just started squatting because I tore my meniscus, and then when quarterfinals came, it was first time squatting after months, and I barely qualified. From 60 people, I was 52nd. And
Wow.
then in the end, I made the games. But this year it was much better. It was the first day was really stressful. The first two tests of quarterfinals were really stressful. And then after the second day, it was pretty smooth because I was in top 30. And in the end, I finished 26th. But that first day was really stressful.
Which place were you after the first day?
After the first day, I was 120th.
What had happened?
Also, the event one was like my big weakness. Like handstand push-ups are always work in progress for me, but compare that with double dumbbell overhead lunges. It's just a movement that I can't perform. Like my mobility is still so bad for that movement. When I put two dumbbells in like overhead, I just can't straighten my arm. My arms are like locked in this position because I can't straighten them overhead and to hold that weight. So my shoulders blew up so hard on that lunges. I lost like minutes on that movement, just trying to squeeze those 30 steps. And in the end, I placed, I think, like 200 in that event, which was fine because I know that other 4 tests are really good for me, and I will probably be one of the best in our region in other tests. So I wasn't really stressed that much about the first day. And the second test I crushed. It was GSD pistols and ring muscle ups. I think my time was third or fourth time in Europe region. I beat basically all of the guys that beat me in the first event. So I was like, okay, I probably won't be in top 60 after first day. I will be around 70th or 80th place, but I know that the tests are coming will be fine for me. And then the leaderboard went up and I was 80th place. And I was like, okay, fine. Tomorrow's are good events for me. I will be good again and I will be in top 60 for sure. And I went to bed, woke up to go to the bathroom at 5 a.m. and I see that I have a mail because I checked my phone because it was close to my bed. I checked to see if my scores are accepted, and I got mail that I got major penalty for event 2. And I went to leaderboard to check how big of a penalty is, and I can't find my name on the leaderboard. And I'm just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I find myself in 120th place, and I got minute 06, so 1 minute and 6 seconds added to my score, so it bumped me down from third place in region to like 70th or 80th place in the region at the moment. And I was really stressed in that situation because I wasn't even close to top 60 at that time. It was 180 points to 60th place. When you made the games last year, you don't want just to make the to semifinals. You want to be in like top of the leaderboard, and it was super frustrating. Like I knew that the events that are coming are really good for me, but I wasn't sure if I'm going to have enough like events to make up that big of a difference in points. So in the end, it went really good because I crushed that event with running, wall balls, and rope climbs. I was also, I think it was third place when you like delete all of the scores that were invalid because some people did shorter like runs.
Shuttle runs, stuff. Yeah.
Yes, I think that in the end it was third place in region. Again, I beated all of the guys that beated me in the first event, and lifting went pretty well. I think I was 100th place in region, and I refreshed the leaderboards when they announced that I was in 30th place, and I was like, okay, now I'm safe, and did really good in last event as well. So it bumped me up another 4 spots, and in the end I end up 26th. But first day was super stressed, and it was a big deal to jump like almost 100 spots in 2 days,
Wow, man, that's interesting because like if you listen to the athletes at your caliber who already like went to the games, they're always like, so yeah, the open don't matter, quarterfinals don't matter, it starts at the semis. And then then you wake up, you get that mail, and you're like, fuck, I really need to send it now.
it's like, oh man, I almost won't made it to the semifinals now. It was really big of a deal because you're the whole year around this part of the season. So first you need to make the games. I think there is not a single athlete in Europe, and I always say that, no matter how good you are, no matter how followers you have, no matter how many times you were at the games, there is no single athlete in Europe that can say, I'm going to the games for sure.
Yeah.
And I think like no matter how times you were at the games, like there are guys in Europe that went six or seven times consistently at the games, but there is still no athlete that can say, like, I always give example of Lucas Hogberg. He went to the games. He was third place at the games, and then next year he didn't even make the cut, and then next year he didn't even make the semifinals. And he was one of the top guys in Europe. He has one of the best careers from all of the European athletes. Like there is, I think, in the overall only 3 athletes that ever made the podium from Europe. I think it's BKG, it's Mikko Salo in the beginning, and Lucas Hogberg. I can't think of any other European man that made the podium at the games. And then you see guy like that didn't even make the games, and now he didn't even make the semifinals. So European regions is so strong. I think that still everybody is depending on the workouts, because some people are better than the other people. Like for me, give me max deadlift instead of squat clean, and I will win my region. You know? And give me squat clean, that I will struggle because it will place me a little bit lower. You know, but everybody and same. I don't wanna name names and say what's bad for some other people and stuff like that. But still, every single athlete is depending. Not every single athlete, but I think that nobody is safe. So all of us need to have a little peak at the semifinals. And in my case, it was like, man, I maybe won't even make the semifinals now. And then it was really frustrating.
Was it like really stressful, or were you like, so, oh yeah, I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna give it my all, and I'm gonna crush it and make it?
First, it was like, of course, I always believed, and I always like want to crush and send the workouts, but it was, if I'm looking realistically at this, it's really big chance that I maybe won't make it, because it was like so many points difference between 120th and 60th place that I was like, okay, I have a potential to be first in 2 out of 3 workouts, but still I wasn't sure if I'm going to make it, because the point difference was such. And I was wrong, because I just needed 2 good events and I jumped so many spots. But at that time I was like, so many things are going into your head at that time, and I was like, you know what, I don't know anymore, like I will just crush these 2 workouts, and where I end up. And in the end, it was enough. So
yeah, you just did what you can control. You can control your workouts, but everything else, you have no control over now.
Exactly.
That's crazy, man. But what you said before with the Europe region, and that nobody can say that they're going to the games for sure, it's even more extreme when you look at the women's division.
Exactly.
And also what you said with one movement can throw you out. That's insane when you look at it. Like David's daughter, she didn't make the games one year because of rope climbs. Next year she wins it. Or Sam Briggs wins the games. Next year handstand walk shows up, she didn't even make it. That's insane.
Yes. And there's like examples like that for many athletes and many cases in years, because like regionals are so specific. You have, or semifinals now, you have 6 to 7 workouts, only 30 people and 5 are going. And in Europe region, there is always like 7 to 8 or even 10 athletes fighting for those 5 spots. And at the competition, so many things can happen. Like your judge can no rep you on sprint workout, and you can be added like 30 seconds to your score. And then like there's so many examples of things like that happening, and then people trying to fight their way back. And I think that regionals or semifinals are the most stressful competition of the year. And when I wasn't even close to that level, I was listening to the Ben Smith saying how regionals are his like least favorite competition, and he was CrossFit Games champion at that time. And he was saying how it's so stressful, and it's just competitions that you have to do, and you have to make the games. But I think it's when you make the games, it's a little bit like, how can I say, not easier, but the games are completely different beast. And when you already made the games, you have like a little bit like rock of the back, and now you can really push to training. Then semifinals are, so many things can happen, and then your season can be cut short.
Yeah, and you only have one shot. Like when you're at the games, you have like 15 events.
Exactly, that's also a big difference.
Yep.
That's what I was saying. Like as you said, when you can come to the games, you probably, if you made all of the cuts, you have 15 events. And you saw, like, for example, you can have one last place finish at the games, and you can still be first. Like Wellner last year, for example, I think that he was one of the last guys in first event, and he still crushed the weekend, and ended up on the second place. But when you're competing on the regionals, if you have last place, it's probably going to be really hard to be in top 5.
Yeah, Werner always fucks up the first event. Swimming, he's gonna be last. And how is it like now moving on from that experience in the quarterfinals? Are you like, is this like a wake-up call? Like, oh, I'm gonna really have to work? Because if you watched my scores, I was one of the best in the region overall. Like, I think that I almost beat all of the top 3 guys. I beat them in 3 out of 5 events. I just got, the first event was bad for me. Okay, I'm fine with it. But when we are at the semifinals, you can't beat me for 200 spots, because there is only 30 people competing, and if you are going to be first in the handstand push-up event, I'm going to be 15th, but then I'm going to beat you in all of the other events. Like, for example, you see my scores compared to the other guys. Event 2, I was one of the best in the region. Event 3, I was one of the best in the region, and then event 5, I was one of the best in the region. So most of the guys competing and most of the guys placing in top 5, I beat them in more workouts than they beat me. So I know that actually when the quarterfinals ended, I was like, perfect. I know the training that I was doing is paying off, because I PR'd my clean for 7 kilos in December. I made like 300 spots jump just on that lifting event. Like last year, I was 400 place in lifting. This year, I was 100 place in the lifting event. And I saw such a huge improvements on conditioning as well. And I wasn't even close to peaking for the quarterfinals. I was just training through it, and I was just, okay, I just need to make the semifinals to be close to top 20 or to be top 20. That was my goal. And in the end, that only thing that messed me up a little was that penalty. And in the end, when you take that penalty off, if we were at competition and my judge say, hey, that pistol is no rep, next rep I will extend that it will not be no rep. You can't have a minute penalty on the semifinals. So was it the pistols where you got the penalty?
Yes, it was like for not extending hip on the pistol event.
I feel like that's also really hard to judge, like on a video.
Exactly, and especially I don't want to, like, I didn't even appeal my score. Like, I was fine with the score, with penalty that they gave me. I was like, okay, they are professional judges. I was a little bit frustrated because that camera angle that we were using for that event was not really. It wasn't really good camera angle to judge pistols, to be honest, and I watched so many videos that didn't get penalty, and those pistols were exactly the same or even worse than mine. So that was thing that was frustrating, but in the end I made it. Everything is fine. I'm happy with how my fitness is at the moment, and now it's building time. I think this, for me, I still don't consider myself, as I said, I still don't consider myself games athlete, like someone who is going to make games for sure. I know that I need to work my ass off for this month and a half that we are going to have for the preparation. And I think that I have a huge potential to even win my regionals or semifinals. Last year I placed third when nobody expected it. And last year I placed almost 30 spots lower than what I placed now in quarterfinals. So I have all the cards in my hand to crush this semifinal prep and to win semifinals, and that is my goal. Maybe some people will say, oh, I'm too ambitious, it's like too cocky, or I don't know, but that's my goal for the semifinals.
Yeah, there are 2 semis in Europe. Huh?
Exactly. We are waiting. We will know on which semifinals we are compete in on Friday.
Do you wish they're not gonna put the 2 Dukics in one semi, or
I think it won't be. I don't think it would be fair, and I can explain it because last year many countries sent few athletes to the semifinals. For example, there was, I don't know, 5 guys from Spain, 5 guys from United Kingdom, 5 guys from Italy, 5 guys from France, let's say like that. And what they did was, for example, if it was 4 guys from, I don't know, Spain, they sent 2 guys in one regionals or semifinals and 2 guys into semifinals. And Serbia sent 3 people last year. So it was Lazar, myself, and 1 more guy from Serbia. And we were the only country that all the guys from same country were competing at the same semifinals. And I don't think it was like, okay, we were not like that well known last year. But now when we both made the games, we both placed top 3 in the same region. And we are from the same country. So I think that this year it will be more fair if you like separate us because we both made the game. So for example, if you're separating other guys, they weren't putting the same guys. For example, if BKG and Jone Koski, they weren't put in the same region. And I'm not saying that I am well known or good or have the reputation that those guys have. I just started, but if they are going based on who made the games last year, I think that if they are going like that, so 5 guys here, 5 guys there, I think that maybe they should separate us. But you never know, and I'm not wishing for any semifinal event. Like I don't have preparation where I would want to go at the moment, because there are some, like, for some stuff it's better to be going to Netherlands, and for some stuff it's better to be going to London and United Kingdom. So I still can't say where I would want to go.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm excited how the system will work out this year. I think it would be the best if the programming for all the semifinals would be the same, like back in the regionals, like if you have the same chances in every event, so it doesn't really matter if you end up at the German Throwdown, for example, if it's going to be a semifinal and they're like heavy like strengths programming in it, so you have no control over.
CrossFit is going to be programming 2 out of 6 events. And they will be same for all of the other regional or semifinals. But yeah, I would also really love if all of the events were the same, so every athlete have like the same, how to say, chance, or they play with the same cards. But it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see.
Sorry.
No, it will be interesting to see, because it's, you know, it's always big difference. Like if you're going to put handstand push-ups or wall balls, like something is going to favor one type of athlete and something is going to favor another type of athlete. So it's hard. I'm really curious what they're going to do this year with the programming and with the seeding and everything. There's still so many things that needs to be done in order for everyone to have successful season.
And even as a spectator, like back in the days in regionals, it was like for the spectator, for me, it was like amazing to look all the regions one after another and seeing, oh, this guy is gonna make a world record and gonna crush all the other from all the other events. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So, and for the semis, you're gonna leave to the United States to the Misfit crew?
Yes, we are planning to prep to start. Like I just started prep, but I'm here at home at Serbia. But I'm planning to be there around 20th of April, something like that. Stay there for maybe a week or 10 days or 2 weeks, something like that, and then head back home, finish preparation here, and then go and cross semifinals. That's the plan.
Cool. Why did you choose the Misfit guys?
I don't know. I just went with my gut after the games. I followed the Misfit program before in 2019. I really liked it, but I wasn't working like one-on-one with one of the coaches. I was just following regular plans. So I switched to like working with one-on-one with the coach that I had from Germany. And I really like the program. I like how they're doing things. I like their approach. Everything is really like, how can I say? They are really focusing, the coaches that are working are really focusing on what they are like giving athletes and why are they giving athletes stuff like that. And that's why I chose it. And when I talked to them after the games and when Coach Drew offered, like when he said that if I'm going to switch to Misfit, he is going to be my coach, that was like, okay, I'm switching, like I want to do it for sure, because I was the one that reached out to them and to see, hey guys, would you like to have me on the team? So yeah, I just went with my gut. I just wanted to make a change, and when I was thinking which team I want to join, they were like on top of the list by far.
And how long have you been on the?
And since then, I started programming August last year. August 16, we started doing like exactly the programming. And I saw huge improvements and so many improvements in strength, but I still kept all of my good stuff that I had, conditioning, gymnastics, kept all of that and improved strength by a lot. And that was really good. I think that it was a really, really good decision to make. I won a few competitions with them already. I think that I had really good showing at Dubai as well with some stuff that was not good so well for me before, but I made a huge improvements. And now in the quarterfinals, I had much better showing in quarterfinals than last year, even with that penalty. And I think that I will be able to show at the semifinals. I will be able to show how much better athlete I am than last year.
Yeah, I think when I thought about it, I think that you're like a perfect fit for the Misfits programming, because I don't know you very well from interacting, but you seem like a really mature guy, and the Misfits, they really focus on that. Sure, they're an excellent programming and like workouts, but they really focus on the mental things. That's what I'm gonna say. And
on details as well. The whole programming is really focused on the details, and everything is like the whole plan is following like nice progression during the whole year, and you really need to like keep yourself or be kept by your coach on the leash the whole year, so that you are not overtraining in the parts of the season where you shouldn't. Like last year, I was training 3 times a day for the Open. I was training 3 times a day for the quarterfinals. I was training 3 times a day whole year. And then in the end, I was burned out when I needed to train 3 times a day for the games, I didn't have energy. And that's what comes with when you don't want to listen to your coach, or when you are working with somebody that you're not like, how to say, believe in their programming. Now I can say like I never trained less than I did for last 5 months. I trained in total, I think from August last year to April this year, I had half as many sessions that I had last year in the same period. And now I'm going to start ramping up my session, conditioning, everything. But last year I did that like in December, and there was no point for that. And there wasn't peaking whole year. I wasn't peaking for Dubai. I wasn't peaking for German throwdown. I wasn't training 3-4 times a day for quarterfinals. Like, I was just focusing on my weaknesses, training once or twice a day, really focusing on what the task that I was giving to do. So now it's time to put the pedal down and crush the semifinal prep, and then do the same for the games prep.
Is that easy? Is that easy to really like trust the process and not train as much?
No, it's one of the hardest things. And I was never coachable athlete, I can say for myself. I always think that I know the best. I always think that I maybe not should be doing this, I should be doing that. But that's why I went with the programming that I wanted to choose, and not the programming that I was offered. I had some offers to join some other programmings, but I didn't want to. I wanted to, okay, I want to join Misfit. They didn't offer me to join the team, but I asked them, hey guys, would you like to have me on the team? Because I was like, okay, I need someone who I am going to listen to. And it's better to have somebody that I choose than just if it was like a good offer, you know? So
yeah,
I think that I needed that step, and I think I chose good because I was listening to what coach was saying for last few months, and I made a huge progress, and I was training a lot less than I was before. So
sounds good, man. Yeah. I'm excited. What's quarterfinals and the games? I'm really excited to watch you compete in person. I think that's what all we're waiting for. And
the whole year revolves around now, these few months.
Yeah. So man, thanks for being on the show. I'm gonna
thank you for inviting me.